Well, good morning and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. If you didn't get a chance to see our debut of our new studios yesterday, be sure to go back. That was a fun 2 hour show, bringing in a lot of people that have played a very pivotal role in making this show what it has become. So, thank you for tuning in. And for sure, if you didn't get a chance to see it all, share that. Remember to always make sure that you have clicked the follow button on our Facebook page or subscribe to the YouTube page. We're also on X and Rumble and Instagram and LinkedIn. So, multiple platforms for all of your family and friends to be able to wake up to things that can really serve them in life. We give you positivity, we give you some news you can use, we give you the weather forecast here locally for Missouri and Illinois. And if you're just outside of our area, you just stand by and then we get into everything that will serve all of us. I'm super excited today, after we give you the news you can use, to introduce you to my neighbor. And I kind of laughed and thought, we could have stayed right at our houses and not gone anywhere. And I could have just said, come on up the driveway, Scott. But Scott wanted to see our studios, and I can't wait to hear what he feels that we have done from the old studios in that transition. He is a wonderful human being, first and foremost, and that's really what you want somebody to say about you, right? Then we can start adding in the aspects of your life as a leader and a motivational speaker and an author. Stop clowning around. We'll talk about that and unlocking your true potential, relational influence. So many levels of what this man can provide. He's a true dedicated man through his family and through his faith. He is going to light you up today. Trust me on that. So that's coming up for us. Let's get into our forecast first. As I mentioned, for our immediate area, this is what it looks like. It's almost as if it's going to be spring or summer. We're talking today, possibly hitting 80, 79 degrees and sunshine. And by the way, did you see the moon? It was absolutely beautiful this morning, and we're getting ready for a lunar eclipse coming up on Friday. It is, according to a lot of the meteorologists, they're saying that it looks as though you shouldn't have any problems seeing it. It is late Thursday evening into Friday morning. So early around 1 or 2 a.m., if you by chance want to set your alarm and go out there, you should be able to see it. However, as we get into the evening on Friday, then we're starting to talk about problems with regards to storm conditions. Could it be tornadic? A lot of these things in place, as we asked back at yesterday. Wednesday, 77, a mix of sun and clouds. We get into Thursday, 78, 81 on Friday. And then we drop into the 60s as we go into the weekend. By the way, a lot of St. Patrick's Day festivities going on this weekend in multiple communities. So wherever you're going, it will be a little cooler. 53 actually on Sunday, 67 on Monday. And then we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. First day of spring, by the way, is next Thursday, and there's a possibility of some rain in that forecast. Still a ways out, so that could change, but just to kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen, again, in our Missouri and our Illinois area. All right, if you are watching from a financial standpoint, I do want to let you know that we have a new ticker that we will be showing you from time to time that shows the financial markets, shows what's going on with Fox News, the New York Post, as well as CNN. Sometimes we might drop in Fox Sports. We definitely this week will be looking at the financial side. So let's start with the stock market, and it is plunging. So many people are saying it's because of the tariffs that President Donald Trump has been discussing. Again, imposing 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. That happened again Tuesday, Wednesday. It is the exempt aspect of the industry for a month for the automobile industry. Thursday as well for the breakdown of how things are going to look for our world. And it's being seen, unfortunately, in the stock market where people are a little uneasy. What will happen with that? We will continue to look ahead as we are talking a rough week for Wall Street. Again, a lot of the people are saying because of the tariffs, but it was also when President Donald Trump was asked about a recession that he did not dismiss a recession, and that started making people feel a little uneasy. So we'll continue to follow that for you and bring you any of the latest throughout the rest of the week and obviously in the weeks to come. So, Southwest Airlines, are you a flyer of Southwest? If so, they're announcing they will begin charging for checked bags. I know that's frustrating a lot of people, but they're also keeping an eye, the traveler, keeping an eye on a lot of changes. I remember within the last year, we talked about how they were going to change. It hasn't been implemented yet, but changing the cattle call and that you would actually have a seat. So let's break it down. According to their news release that they sent out to all of us, customers who are not Rapid Rewards A-list preferred members, A-list members, Rapid Reward credit card members, or traveling on business select fares will be charged for the first and second checked bags. The weight and size limitations, of course, apply. Those changes will be applying to flights booked on or after May 28th of this year. They will continue to offer 2 free checked bags to Rapid Rewards A-list preferred and customers traveling on business select, and then 1 free checked bag to A-list members and other select customers. Southwest again crediting 1 checked bag for Rapid Rewards credit card members. Other changes to come: customers now earn more points on business select fares, again trying to get you most likely to join their other programs. Flight credits, by the way, issued for tickets purchased on or on or after May 28th will expire 1 year earlier from the date of ticketing, depending on the fare type purchase. So a lot of changes and shifts to paid baggage to lift the earnings. That's what they're saying. All right, for all of you beer drinkers, I've got a new can to show you affiliated with our Budweiser and Cardinals. This is a limited edition Cardinals can that's being released just ahead of opening day. And we got a couple of views here for you. What do you think of it? Drop your comments in and tell me if you like it, if you love it, if you hate it. They've released limited edition Cardinals cans. In addition, Budweiser is also teaming up with Lars Nootbaar for some unique content. According to Nootbaar, playing in St. Louis, Budweiser's roots run deep in baseball culture and the game day experience in the city. And after all the fun he said he's had with the brand last season, he's proud to be teaming back up with Budweiser this year. Budweiser has released your new cans, by the way, as you see there, for 17 teams across Major League Baseball. You can watch several of the St. Louis Cardinals games for free, by the way, this season on our friends Matrix Midwest. That's affiliated with our friends over at First Alert 4. So congratulations to them, by the way. They're getting the Cardinals and they're getting the Blues. Shout out to them. All right. This is a story that if I had a group around me when I was in news, we would all sit down after this. We call it the talker story, and we would discuss this. Look at this. This was actually on social media where this woman was talking about this couple leaving their child unattended in a stroller at Disneyland, selfishly wanting to go on a ride. A guest at the park caught this whole incident on camera back on February 18th. She posted it on TikTok. The video showed a stroller covered with a Spider-Man blanket. The woman who posted the video said the parents left the child to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. She said, "I've honestly never seen this happen. Why did someone leave their baby here in a stroller while they want to go on a ride?" Another user left a comment on the video pointing out that Guardians is usually like a 60 to 80 minute wait. So they were planning on leaving the baby for at least an hour. Are you serious? The video later showed a security guard. That's what we have here, checking on the child. And the woman who posted the video said that the security guard actually went and got the parents off the ride. They haven't named the parents yet. It's unclear if they faced any consequences, which I would think they would, from Disneyland or facing any criminal charges. Multiple former Disneyland workers in the comment section of that video noted that this is sadly a common occurrence. Unbelievable. I can't wait to see what you think about that. So you can drop comments in now, or if you watch later, do a little hashtag replay for me. Absolutely unheard of. Very narcissistic. Cannot believe that you would do that. So many things could have happened. Your child could have been stolen. Your child could have been pushed away and injured. I mean, you drop the comments in. Never, ever, ever should that be done. You need to take parenthood and put it way up here for all of us who didn't get a chance to have children. It just absolutely made me infuriated. I'm just going to tell you that. And I can go on and on my soapbox, but I'm just frustrated with that one. So you let me know. Drop your comments in. Let me know what you think about that. All right, let's talk about the National Day of Calendar. And there's a lot today. I was like, holy cow. First of all, for those that are celebrating, we are looking at National, okay, it's hard for me to see here. Let me put my glasses on. I've got my monitor way away from me. Thank you. National Johnny Appleseed Day, National Worship of Tools Day. Okay, as we go to other ones, what is that? What is the worshiping of tools? Hey, I love my hammer. Hey, thanks for my screwdriver. What is that all about? There's more though. It's not just those two. Besides those, we also have National Oatmeal Nut Waffles Day, National Promposal Day. Okay, isn't that normally in May? So they're doing it pretty early. And then two more for you. National 311 Day, which actually started just a handful of years ago, and National, this is for you all, National Funeral Director and Mortician Recognition Day. And didn't we just have somebody on the other day that said that that was their original career? Yes, I think we did. In sports news, the Cardinals, woo, they lost big time. 8-0 yesterday against the Mets. They are back in action. They're playing against, I believe, is it the Marlins today? Can you make that a little bit bigger for me, Zach? I've got a real small monitor in here now. Is that what it says? I believe it's okay. Thank you. The Marlins, and I believe it's 12:05. Miami Marlins and our Cardinals. I did look for the Blues. The Blues are back in action on Thursday, by the way. So they haven't played in a little while. But if you are a Blues fan, back in action on Thursday. And I didn't get a chance to mention it from this past weekend, but St. Louis City SC did win their first couple of games. They literally had zeros on the board. Let's just say it was a tie in both of their games. So now finally pulling out a win. So congratulations to St. Louis City SC over the weekend. All right, so that gets you all caught up to date with our news you can use. If there's anything I missed that you think the world needs to know that's watching this show, again, we don't want a bunch of negativity, but if it's things that you want to talk about, we will drop those in for you. I am also having Michelle Harmon and Jenny Egan, who we are very proud to welcome to our team. Jenny is shadowing Michelle today, and you're going to see a lot from Jenny in the coming weeks, months, years ahead as she is taking over and taking on a pretty big role here with the Real Monica Adams team. So we'll introduce you to her in the coming days as well. When we come back, I'm excited to introduce you to Scott Holman. Now, Scott is many things, but as I say, first and foremost, an incredible human being. We are going to talk about his books. We'll talk about his family. We'll talk about his faith. We'll talk about how he inspires and has leaders literally level up, unlocking their and your true potential. And what's this stop clowning around? We'll talk about all of that as Scott Holman joins me when we return on The Real Monica Adams Show.
My house is so outdated and old. Can you help?
Let's take down this wall and add a support beam there.
Or just replace the furniture.
I love it.
New sofa, chaise lounge, and tables from Carol House.
What about this bedroom?
Let's tear down this wall.
Or a new bed, dresser, and accessories.
It's like a whole new room.
Get free in-home design, fast free delivery, and free financing too. Skip the remodel. Add new furnishings from Carol House for your new perfect room. Because you like nice things.
My house is so outdated and old. Can you help?
There's a lot of behavioral assessments out there. There's Myers-Briggs, there's StrengthsFinders, there's a myriad of them. And I use DISC because of its simplicity of understanding. I am able to help others understand quickly how to basically diagnose someone else's style so that we can communicate better, we can collaborate better, and as an organization just work together better from a simple understanding. So many people tend to think that education is meant to be done in a boardroom or some sort of classroom type scenario. The reality is learning is not as effective in that environment. I would say the biggest obstacle I have is getting people outside of their box of what learning has to look like and have the awareness that there are other ways and they're impactful and they're effective. There's a lot of people that are DISC specialists, and there's a lot of ways of getting your hands on the material. What's different, what's special is the engagement factor. Personally, I've sat in enough seminars myself, and more is not always better. Quick, concise, giving a methodology, a framework, an analogy to tie it to matters. And so I think I just bring it to a different level of engagement to recognize that no one wants to sit in a seat that long. We make it fun, we reinforce it. Those are the two major factors of main. If you want to learn about DISC, you're right, anybody can do it, but you're not going to remember it in the way you will in this fashion. My goal for you, my goal for your organization is to remember. Stop spending money on something that's going to be forgotten overnight. If you're going to invest the money, if you're going to invest in your people, invest in something that's going to be remembered, reinforced, and actually make change for your organization.
Doesn't he inspire you? I told you this hour you are going to be really lit up. Now, obviously, he helps leaders level themselves up, but I really love how he gets into the psyche. And people that have listened to Scott speak have said, holy cow. One person, oh, I got chill. One person said to him, you taught me things about myself as a human being that I didn't know about for 44 years. I mean, that's eye-opening, right? We're going to talk about all of this today. Let me introduce you to my neighbor, Scott Holman. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for letting me be here. This is great.
I laughed. I actually was pulling out of our very long driveway, which this man is a rock star. He gets on his little snowmobile and he's like, Monica, do you want me to help? And my husband's so prideful. In the past, it was like, no, we got it. And I'm sure all the neighbors watch us. We have a football field length driveway, by the way, straight down or straight up, as you know. And we would be out there shoveling. And then the other day, Scott's like, Monica, would you like me to help? And I go, yes, please. Thank you. So I actually took a video. I was trying to get it downloaded of Scott driving away on a snowmobile. Your wife, Michelle, though, had said he loves being on that. He loves playing. Is that true?
I don't get to do it much. So
Yeah.
when I get to play in the snow, it's just a change of pace. So absolutely. And I got to admit, your hills makes it a lot of fun too.
Like
It's
a
not
little
an
kid.
not an easy climb.
No. Well, thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for everything. You have been incredible neighbors, and that's what I mentioned in life. Yes, we can be remembered for different things, but it's the aspect of saying that you're a good human, that you were kind, that you were a good person, that really is a true leader. Or we'll talk about what a
Absolutely.
leader is, and we'll talk about all the levels of Scott and how he's changed people's lives. Before we get into that, though, you are very faith-based, as I am.
Mhm.
And the name of your company is 1313 Solutions. So a lot of us have probably known the verse from Corinthians or sung it, so many levels of it. But why does that resonate with you?
Well, for those who maybe are not aware, and these three remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love.
Yes.
And the reason it resonates is twofold. You're probably familiar with the quote of Mark Twain.
Mhm.
The two best days in one's life is the day they're born and the day they figure out why. And I realized that a great majority of people never figure out the second part.
So is that on the lines of me asking people in life coaching, what's your purpose?
Exactly.
Okay.
And secondly, I think it's interesting. I'm a faith-based person, been around let's call it a church environment for a long time. The number one question asked of pastors is not, how do I get to heaven? It's, why am I here?
Mhm.
And so I realized that purpose is a very big question in a lot of people's minds. So started diving into, what is the key to purpose? Is there something that leads us to this? And then I started realizing as well that people don't know how to change in a pursuit of purpose. And it led me to 1313. And I believe that everything is wrapped up in these three words: faith, hope, and love.
I want to break those down with you today. Again, Scott Holman, my guest, and we're going to talk about his books. We'll talk about faith. We'll talk about his family and so many levels of finding the balance of life, of being a true leader. And I always love, you look at these pictures online where you talk about a boss, and you talk about a leader, and you see the boss behind a table shouting and pointing, and the leader out there in the trenches with their
Mhm.
team. And we want to be more of that leader aspect. But I'm going to ask you, what do you feel a leader is, and how do you unlock their true potential?
A leader, by John Maxwell, who many know as a leadership expert, is leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. I believe in that as well. I think a leader is someone who influences others in a positive way. Yes, there are negative leaders, and
Sure.
we need to recognize that. The leadership that I like to look at is that which is positive and going to take someone and grow them. I think leadership starts by leading ourselves, and we often miss that part.
Right.
Then it has to move to our homes. So, as you know, I take my family life very serious.
Yes.
And then I think when you get those two moving in the right direction, we're finally free to help lead others effectively. And that is in the purpose of helping people become who they're meant to be.
So we're going to talk about where people disconnect and where they feel they've gone wrong or where the stress and the anxiety comes from. It was interesting. I was listening to a news report driving in this morning, and they talked about mirror reflection and what we've seen happen in the last 5 years, which is crazy, by the way. The pandemic started 5 years ago this week when the whole world didn't know what to do, shut down. Everybody started getting on Zoom calls, Zoom meetings. And they started judging themselves as they saw what they believe the world sees, which was flaws. And they felt it's crazy because they were wanting to turn their cameras off. And I thought, wow, this is what I try. And Scott tries to help you. I'm all about self love. I'm sure you are as well. I always want my clients to look in front of the mirror and say something positive about themselves, but they just rip themselves apart, tear themselves down. And it's trying to find a way for you to love you first. How can you love the rest of the world if you don't love who you are?
We didn't even talk about this. We've never talked about this. Here's a sneak peek. So on Thursday night, I'm part of the Speakers Association. Thursday night, there's a storytelling competition. My story is all around mirrors and my fascination with mirrors. Now, I'm going to get to the point without, I can't tell the whole story here, but I want to get to the point. Our encouraging words, well, let me back up 1 second. I believe we're at a place in life that it's not about broken people. It's about distorted mirrors, the way we see ourselves, the perceptions of it. And so with our words as leaders, as just good people, we have the ability to not fix a mirror because once a mirror is distorted, you cannot fix it, but we can crash it, we can smash it, we can shatter those mirrors with our words and help them see for who they're supposed to be.
You all have chills because he's right. We did not discuss this whatsoever. We had some emails back and forth and text of what we want to bring to you. I have a feeling Scott's going to be a guest on my show multiple times because there's just so much that you and I resonate with. In fact, I'm going to just manifest this and put it out there to the world, God first, that I believe you and I should be booked to take the stage together and speak. I love a male-female duo on stage because people resonate with one or the other, or all of a sudden it changes and then you see them together. We're here to empower, educate, lift you up. Again, if you're just tuning in, Scott Holman, we're going to talk about your family. I'm going to show some pictures of your beautiful family who I just absolutely adore. So let's break down what these pictures mean to you, because I believe, and hopefully you all do as well, that we are nothing without those that we choose to surround ourselves with, and we are blessed to surround ourselves with. You start to find relationships, you get married, you have children, you adopt children. Let's talk about that.
Adoption.
Yes.
The greatest gift we've ever been given. The number one thing people will say to me and my wife when it's about adoption, oh, you guys did something great. And we respond, no, we just wanted to add children to our life. The experience of adoption has been a gift to us, not a gift to the boys we've adopted. As you know, we have two little boys. They're 11 and 9 at this point. And lots of energy, lots of life to our family. But they have taught us about love. What I've realized is it's easy, or feels easy, to love those who maybe are blood. And I was like, okay, God, am I going to be able to love the same? And it was just the same. It was the most amazing thing. But it's even greater because we've learned to love their families. We've learned to love the extended part of their biological families as well in our personal experience.
You and I have never talked about it. I did want to look at those pictures, by the way. M-I-Z.
ZOU.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That's how you know a true Mizzou fan, by the way.
Absolutely. You, besides obviously having a love, and the little boys, they're so cute. They are riding their bicycles. They are always out talking. Your entire family is just so friendly, and that's what I love. Blessed with your own 2 children, and then adopted as well. And how old are they now?
The oldest is 21.
Oh my God.
He's a student at Mizzou. He'll be graduating next year with his master's in accounting.
How did he get so tall?
I don't know on that one. I'm not sure on that one at all. The daughter is in her first year at school, but she's ahead as well. She's at a private university in Springfield, Missouri. She's doing well. And then we got the little boys. We call them the 2 sets, really.
The 2 sets, yes. So you we were looking at those pictures, but we also have pictures of you coaching. So when you talk about coaching and helping to unlock someone's true potential and having someone level up in leadership, it's also you finding the balance, which is what I love. You coach a feeder basketball team.
I do. I do. I am we'll call it the head coach of the third grade feeder team for our school district. We had 20 boys this year. So as overall 20 boys, the most beautiful thing about it wasn't me. There were 5 or 6 dads who just jumped in, and we were able to do it together. And to see a community of dads just jump in like that, put our insecurities behind us, because you know about imposter syndrome. I'm going to tell you, I experience more imposter syndrome on the basketball court than any other place in life. I can be on a stage, which scares most people.
Right.
No big deal. Put me on a basketball court, it's like, I don't belong here.
Why?
You want the truth?
Yes. Yes, this is the Real Monica Adams show.
All right. This is something that most of the world doesn't know.
Okay.
I've never played a game of formal basketball a day in my life.
That's okay.
I love the game. I watch it. I never played it. And I got a story that leads up to why. A lot of it, of who I am today, leads to those reasons. My oldest started playing ball. He was in 6th grade, playing pretty competitively. The head coach got transferred mid-season, and they needed a coach. And he said, I think you're the guy. And I freaked out because
I didn't play.
I've never even played. You think that you have to play. And I realized that I love kids, and they need someone to love them, and I can learn a game.
Absolutely.
And so I learned the game, and that's where I'm at. But I still struggle with the imposter syndrome. But the blessing side is I can also talk to the dad who's like, I've never done this.
Yes.
Well, me neither.
Right.
Let's do this.
Let's learn
Yeah.
this together. I've never, ever in my life, ever looked at a coach and thought, if they didn't play the game, they shouldn't be leading us. So it's interesting that actually came up. There's obviously, whether it's little league or it's collegiate or it's professional, I just look at it as they're a good coach. And if they're not, then they're probably going to get replaced, but they have to be a good leader. You can learn all of that. You don't have to
Coach
actually
and
have
leadership are so they're closely related.
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, that's probably why he said, if he sees you being able to lead others in life, it made sense to put you there. I love it. I love the fact that you just revealed that, by the way. If you just tuned in, again, Scott Holman, there's aspects, I want you to know where you can follow Scott, by the way. We'll put that up on the screen for you. So there's a breakdown of 1313solutions.com, and then at The Greatest Holman. You are also on LinkedIn, and it's on LinkedIn where I looked at a couple of past posts that I thought were really profound and want to go into those. We're also going to show you some videos of Scott speaking. So you say in your mission is to find out why we were born, as we just mentioned. He equips sales leaders with tools, frameworks, and coaching methodologies that elevate their teams to high performance or clear resolution, never settling for mediocrity. I love that. That's a part of one of the books that I love is The 4 Agreements. And Don Miguel Ruiz talks about always doing your best. Okay, so if I, like I was a few weeks ago, am running 101 fever, obviously it's not going to be the way it is when I'm running around on my best level of my health. But I can still give you my best for that day, always doing your best and not settling. So Scott's approach ensures companies don't just retain employees, but develop, reposition, or part ways, I like this, with purpose and clarity. Go into that a little bit more.
So if I were giving you that thing we call the elevator speech,
Yes.
I would say I help companies eliminate underperformance. A leader's ceiling is the performance of their team. And our goal as a leader first should be to move them to a higher level of performance. And that's where my frameworks and all of that comes in. I can help move someone to higher performance. There is a reality that we do not like, and that is some people will not move. Some people, in some cases, cannot move. They are not skilled appropriately for the role they're in. And so in addition to that, I not only encourage, but I show how to nudge someone to a different role. Maybe it's reassignment in your own company. Maybe it's just a voluntary reassignment. But even document how to properly document the stages of this isn't working and we need to part ways.
And it's okay.
It is okay. I find honestly most leaders are just scared of it. They're scared of the repercussion of what might happen if I make that decision. They want to make it.
Mhm.
So it's all about the documentation. And if you are working through a process of growing them appropriately and you're documenting it,
Yeah.
then you're protected.
Right. The traction stack.
Mm.
That would be like a woman going, Scott, break down the traction stack.
That's this would take a long time to break down in detail. So we're talking like a full day workshop, but you see faith and hope
Right.
in here as well.
Mhm.
First of all, let me talk about love. You do not get the opportunity to work with someone and develop them and build them if you have not established trust through love.
Mhm.
And a lot of people will try to do their work and never establish that. And you have to unlock the heart and mind first. And that's where the love component comes in here. But the stack is this. If I told you about the human operating system, and I'll skip all the steps and get to this one spot here, Monica, I believe that every single action I take, every single action you take, and every single action a listener takes is based on the belief system that they house within their heart.
Mm.
And whether that be values or just things they believe about themselves, a reflection, everything, our actions follow our beliefs. So if I'm going to help someone change, I have to be able to change a belief. So I have to build a belief or deconstruct, then rebuild. And that's what the stack is all about.
Mhm.
So now I'm building that belief. And it starts at an awareness stage of what's my reflection, what's the mirror, what are my skills, what's my gifts, creating hope so that we can have goals and vision. Without a vision, people perish. We kind of go down that avenue. We talk about the barriers, which fear and uncertainty. Usually it's uncertainty that gets us.
Mhm.
And then my favorite part is the faith line of that stack. That's when we take action.
Right.
A lot of people get hope and faith mixed up. They think if I think it enough,
Right.
then it's good. It'll happen. No, you have to take a step, even in the midst of uncertainty. You have to take that courage step. And there's a process of doing that effectively, which involves community and coaches and all of that. But that's what the whole process is. When I teach it, it's a way to build beliefs
Mhm.
so that someone can actually take the step and move to a level of change.
There's so much that I want you to break down in what Scott just said. So I'm gonna go to a break and let you marinate on that for a little bit. But the action part of it is the word that really stands out for me because Scott, there are so many people that I've encountered in life that always go, "Oh, well, you're blessed," or "You have this," and I'm like, if you don't think that I took blessings and then ran with them and work
Mhm.
unbelievably hard on it, I mean, you probably see the light on up on the mountain, 4:30 a.m. to 10:30 at night. I am a workhorse. Go, go, go. But you probably can teach me the balance much better because it is that really allows us to be the best versions of ourselves. It is not work, 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 work. And you teach that.
Mhm.
You've got to find that balance. Again, the faith aspect really helps us with that. The family aspect, who we surround ourselves with, etc. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, the first book that Scott came out with, Stop Clowning Around. I got to ask you about that title. We'll have more with Scott Holman when we return.
This lady got me in the best shape of my life. I literally didn't know that I could be in shape like that. But the amount that she pours into her clients, and especially whenever you get the one-on-one training, it's mind-blowing. I mean, it was really life-changing. I learned so much about proper form, about nutrition, about just being able to invest in myself. I hired Monica to be my personal trainer, which was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
I know there's something in me and someone else saw it. It's the belief from someone else that inspired me to move forward. And as we can take time as leaders to find those people in our company, to identify potential, and if we will take time to appreciate on them, praise them, and share what we see, we can change lives. And that's what happened to me.
Motivating, right? Scott Holman. We've got a handful of different videos of him speaking and really elevating leaders, but I want you to take this beyond, because we might be talking to you and you might feel like it's only in the business world. No, it is not. It is you as a human being and every level. You know, Scott, this is something we've never discussed. So when I meet someone, I don't ask them what they do. I never did. And it's interesting. I had a friend a long time ago and she would talk about a new guy she was dating. And the very next thing out of her mouth was what he did for a living. And I was like, I never asked what he did. I don't care about that. And it was so superficial of why we think that what we do for a living defines us,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, I hate the question. I now, I'm not good at it, but I'm trying to respond to that question of what do you do with are you interested in what I do for a living, or are you interested about me?
Mhm.
That way I understand the where they're going with it. And most often they're interested about you. We just are bad with our
With the way
questions.
we ask it,
Yeah.
right? That's the context of it all. So we talked about stop clowning around. So where'd that title come from?
Well, that's an old brand.
Mhm.
It's what I thought I would really move forward with when it came to my uh, teaching and all of that. I was once upon a time a clown, and see
I did
all
not
kinds
know
of
this.
secrets coming out, right? Um,
Like rodeo
not
clown?
really like a professional clown, more ministry.
Okay.
Did a lot of clown ministry and things like that. But I really fell in love with the art of clowning, all things circus. If there's something that's circus related, I'm all in. In fact, a couple years ago, I got to meet Nick Walinda flying
Oh, yeah.
up. Yeah,
That's
it's
my
fantastic.
Wow.
Fantastic guy, by the way. I don't know if I'm allowed to plug other books. He has a book on
Yes.
fear that is just absolutely fantastic from his family. So anytime I can find anything circus, I'm in.
Yeah.
And so I saw so many aspects of circus and life, and really the way we clown around
Mhm.
and things. So if I just dove into that book, the whole point of that book was not necessarily about the circus. It's we often don't recognize that we're clowning around, and what do I need to work on? And so I just came up with 10 topics that I felt were useful, and there
It's
we
right there.
go. There
10
we go.
fundamental leadership skills proven to elevate your career and
Yep.
really elevate you as a human being. That's funny that you talk about that because that's the thing we hear in school, right? From a teacher. Stop clowning around,
Mhm.
Susie, Bobby, Monica, Scott. And then you're going into business and you have coworkers that say, "Oh, they're just over there messing around or wasting time, wasting the valuable money of the team, clowning around." Right. Right. Literally level up.
Absolutely. And have fun while you're doing
Well,
it, though.
yes. Well, right. That's balance, though, right? That goes back to the balance aspect. Okay. So, as I said, there's a bunch of notes that I took. So, in the Stop Clowning Around, Unlocking Your Full Potential, in that, he dedicated a chapter to the soft skill of staying emotionally steady.
Oh,
Okay. I wanted to talk about this. Controlling reactions. This really, I think, is so powerful. See, here's my chill. So powerful. By the way, what do you think a chill is?
a chill.
Goosebumps.
I'll just go with, yeah, you're just moved by what we're moved by. You know,
I
it's
believe it's God doing this and tapping, saying, yes, you two are really resonating something. My husband doesn't understand chills. He
I
says he doesn't get them.
I believe it too, but sometimes it's an emotional ride. I can be fairly emotional. So let's just say the memory that comes to my mind in this conversation last year, it was at a Mizzou game. They were playing Kansas State. The kicker kicked a 60-yard field
Yes.
goal. It was the most amazing thing to be a part of. I'm right there in the place watching this happen. The students rushed the field. My son is part of the students, and I just knew that this was an amazing experience for him, and it created a chill moment too. So it was an emotional um,
Connection?
connection.
Yeah.
And I believe that God and the Holy Spirit are a big part of those emotional connections.
Was that the thicker kicker they called him?
Yes.
What happened to him? Where is he
He
now?
graduated. I think he got drafted or at least picked up and then cut. And then I feel bad for those athletes when their careers end. But what a fun day.
Oh, you know what? You need to come back because this is something, and actually, maybe that's what we end up taking the stage for. Dr. Richard Lehman, who's been a great friend of mine for 3 decades and has been on the show multiple times. I said something to him one time, and I'll be intrigued by what you say about this since you do help leaders level up. If it's a CEO of a business, it is the president of the United States. It's someone who's held a title that has had so much respect, and suddenly that's pulled away from them. It's an identity and then an
Yes,
identity
yes,
crisis.
yes.
And you see a lot of depression and sadness, feeling alone and lost, addictions that happen. so many dark levels of things. And there's my chill again. And Dr. Lehman goes, oh, you're onto something. We started talking about all the athletes that he sees and what happens to them when suddenly their career ends by a career-ending injury, or again, they're not drafted or whatever it may be. But he's like, I said, but it's not just an athlete. It's all of us who suddenly the title flips. And what do you do with that? I'm sure you get asked that a lot.
It really comes down to purpose. So I've done a lot of study on the topic of purpose, and most studies will come back to one word, which, by the way, is closely tied to the 1313 stuff, specifically vision, which is the same as having hope. Purpose is tied to a pursuit. And so our identity sometimes gets wrapped up in our pursuit, which is why goals can be dangerous too. Because what happens when you finish the goal or you accomplish the goal? I find personally it's underwhelming a little bit. That's it. I spent all this time, all this work to get here, and that's it. Now what? And so I think what we have to learn is our identity cannot be wrapped up in just one thing. It has to be wrapped up in the journey of life. And so life is a journey. What is the next goal? What's the next pursuit? We just always have to be on a mission of what's next. I think that's the key. Comes back to the question, though, we always ask, what do you do?
Right.
So we help people with that identity, and we have to realize the person is the person. Maybe it's okay to let someone be a person.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes we
want to fill too much.
Yeah, it's like it's about how successful your show is or how successful my business is. Why can't I just be a person?
Be.
Yes.
Be. I think one of the most uncomfortable things that I see for people is being able to sit in silence, suddenly realizing who they are. It scares them. Silence scares people. And they always have to have something busy. TV on, radio on, someone's constantly speaking. Watch what happens, by the way. Do this. I really love to do this in some of the retreats and things that I hold. It's just, even if I did it right now, it would be uncomfortable because we're not supposed to have dead air. But if we did that, it would be, oh, talk. You need to talk. You need to talk. Someone's always got to be talking. Do you find that? And if so, how do you help them with that?
I think it comes through practice. And maybe, dare I say, even being open to those chills and those emotions and the speaking that can come through, that just comes. You've mentioned balance a couple times. You've mentioned the being, and we haven't really talked about the word being present. I think there's an aspect of giving yourself permission to be present where you're at. I actually don't believe in balance, by the way. I think everything is counterbalance. And so I would say when you're working, you should be all in on working. And when you're with family, you should be all in on family. And when you're coaching third graders, you should be all in coaching third graders. So to me, everything's about being present. And even in a moment of silence, allow yourself to be all in on it.
All in on that. So before I go back to this, because this is a really powerful thing that you all are going to want to hear about controlling reactions. This one's going to become a reel, trust me. How do you turn off the business and become all in on family, or become all in on the basketball game and not be thinking about business?
I think it comes down to identity. We're back to the mirror, and we have to be okay with who God created us to be. And that's more than just a businessman or a businesswoman. It's more than a coach. It's more than an athlete. It's a person who is here to do two things, in my opinion. I believe we're here for these two reasons only: love God and love others. And so if I can give myself permission to do and act to that identity, then I give myself permission to not feel guilty when I'm not working, or not feel guilty when am working and I'm not with family or not at a particular game, because the core value is I'm here to love God, glorify God, and love others in everything I do.
By the way, we haven't had a chance to really look at comments. If you have any questions or aha moments or things that Scott's saying, I know earlier I saw something about interesting topics, Scott, about the mirrors. That was coming in from Diane. Feel free to drop those. We're on multiple platforms. Sometimes we see them when we're live. Other times it might be later. Feel free to tag Scott and myself in them and say, hey, I didn't get to ask this earlier, and I'd like to ask this now. Same question as what high school did you go to, Diane said. Right. That's a St. Louis thing for all of you that are outside of our area. Diane says maybe asking what someone does helps you have a subject to talk about. It is, but I would say come to that party or that business event you're going to with a bunch of loaded questions beyond that. Christian just said, I love this. I love these topics. So what would you say to that?
Well, going to the networking one, I think you go to a networking event, and most of us feel like we're the only one who doesn't know anyone. So then we go in all nervous, we go in all anxious. And I think you have to realize, first of all, if you ever go to a networking event, no one knows anyone. And so just be comfortable in that. But I really think the discomfort comes from not being planned. I love what you said, having a list of questions. In fact, I developed one for myself. I've never published it, but I actually came with the networking prep sheet.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that before I go into an event, I can, in essence, engage my mind, what I'm about to walk into. Here are some questions that could be relevant right now. And we got a friend with AI, all these chat GPT tools.
Yeah.
You don't even have to come up with the questions yourself. Just say, here's where the event I'm at. Give me 3 questions. And you just go in, and it allows you to be a little more creative. And I will tell you that if you ask a question that's different than what you do, you'll actually stand out from all the other people as
Yes.
well, and engage in a much deeper conversation. So these are some tips that I've learned in my own discomfort of doing these types of events, but I love the planning aspect of it because we fail to do that. I would even say if you like go to a church or a club or anything, just mentally ask, what's a question I could ask today that's different? And you'll find your conversations dramatically changing.
You'll stand out. People will start going, oh, wow. Hey, did you meet Scott over there? Did you meet Monica? They're like, yeah, they really connected with me because it's just not the same. It's no different than interviews. I purposely do not listen to other interviews that people do because I don't want it to be cookie cutter.
Right,
I
right.
also will never provide, we did some outlining, but I will not provide, here's the list of questions. Here, go ahead and give me your answers. I remember years ago when I first started in radio, that's what PR people wanted. And I said, well, then we're not going to do this because that's not what anybody ever wants to listen to. We'll have an outline, but it can go like this, just like life should. I don't know if speed dating's still a thing, but it's the same thing. Don't ask the same question. Ask different things to them. If you're meeting somebody for the first time, don't ask like generic things. Get out of your comfort zone. I mean, there's so much I would think that you're intrigued by. Feel free, to ask those. Okay, I'm going to lay this out there, and then we're going to go to a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to get deep into this. So, again, in his first book, Stop Clowning Around, he dedicates a chapter to the soft skill of staying emotionally steady, controlling reactions rather than being controlled by emotions. Ooh, I love this so much. Okay, that is what I want to focus on because I want you to think about that. If you say, so-and-so made me angry, they made me cry, it's all these, they did, and then you have this emotional response to it. I want to know what your feelings are on this. I try to release the control words, soften things for people, realize that no one can make us do anything. We have to own that ourselves. We give them power. When we let go of the power and we take the power back, that's my feelings. I'm really interested to see what Scott has to say about this. And I also want to talk about some proceeds of a lot of the things that you do and where that goes to. 10%, I think, is that UNICEF?
I have several different orphanages that I work with and partner with, and I like to give because I consider myself pro-life. And I want to go here so I don't offend anyone. What I mean by pro-life, I think we sometimes get caught up in the political debate of a birth, and my definition of pro-life is an entire life. How do we take someone through a life that they're meant to live, that God has for them to live? And that starts, though, with these young people who don't necessarily have the best start.
Yeah.
And with our story of adoption, I just love to pour back into that type of work.
Don't you love them? I just want to give them a big hug. All right, more with Scott Holman when we return.
Well, hello, my friends. My name is John O'Leary. I was just on the Real Monica Adams show, and it was an amazing experience for me and hopefully for the viewers and listeners as well. What I found sitting down with Monica is the idea of being real is maybe something we use for social media or website or to separate us from others, but it may not be something you experience very often in the real world. Today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with our viewers and our listeners. And through her authenticity and through her honesty and vulnerability, I followed. It was an incredible conversation. We were real about struggle, real about life, real about endurance, real about family, real about faith, and real about the truth that the foundation is firm, that God is still God, that there's reason for hope, and that the best is yet to come. So for those of us who occasionally struggle with being real or being filled with hope or being renewed in a season of struggle, I can't tell Monica and her viewers, listeners, and producers thank you enough for allowing me to be real during the hour together. So for this time, and until next time, my name is John O'Leary. Today is your day. What a gift it is. Live inspired and stay real.
All the research, all the statistics say that approximately 30% of personal, professional, and organizational change is ever successful over a sustained period of time, which means 70% of all change attempts end in failure.
Scott Holman, again, speaker, author, incredible family, faith-based man, and wonderful neighbor, if you missed that at the beginning as well. How often do you get booked to speak, by the way?
Not as much as I would like. And that's really on me. Again, this is the real show. I have a lot going on the plate, and you try to balance the life of speaker, which is very intentional with any business. And I have 4 kids, 2 of them in college, so I really have to monitor the income
Right.
that is firm and guaranteed versus the speaking, which will continue to grow more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. It will. If someone wants you to help their business, their leaders, they just reach out to you
Oh,
at,
absolutely.
again, 1313solutions.com, at the greatest Holman, like
It's
showman.
Showman. Yeah, Greatest Showman. First initial, last name. I tend to be a fan of that movie, The Greatest Showman. I couldn't steal that title, so
I
that's it.
love that movie. I'm yeah, big fan of that. So we're talking about eliminating the underperformance, whether it's leadership in work or obviously in your home life or wherever someone feels that they're suffering. This aspect, and before I get to this, there are some comments and questions coming in. So we're going to discuss controlling our reactions rather than being controlled by emotions. But Diane said, maybe asking what someone does helps you have a subject to talk about, like we were discussing earlier. But then she said, maybe you come with prepared answers for possible questions. Thought about that. Love God and love others. That's my mission statement. Awesome. That's from Rose. Kristen said, I love this. Rose Boyer, being in the present, being all in. That's my grab for today, Scott. You know Rose?
I do. Rose is amazing. They actually have a orphanage that they lead in the Philippines.
Oh,
So
wow.
fantastic and
By the
lovely
way, we have
people.
a huge audience in the Philippines.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No,
So
that's fantastic. They
what is the
amazing
name
work.
of the orphanage? Do you know?
Jasmine Rose
Jasmine
Foundation.
Rose.
Yes,
Well,
fantastic.
Rose, thank you for what you do. Thanks, Scott, obviously, for what you do. Rose Presley said, this is great for even serving in a church, reaching out to people. Some people walk in looking for something in their lives. This is awesome, Scott. I love how you think. Yes, feel free. Rose says, Scott, I remember you at Southside. This is Rose Presley.
Okay.
Were you at Southside?
Once upon a time, Southside was a church at the hill at Butler Hill Road,
Okay.
up on top of the hill before it became Crosspoint Church. And so over the years, I've been a part of a few various churches.
And I
We,
think, are you friends also with, you're friends with one of my past clients or do you know Tina Bayer Nesbitt? I thought Tina was the one. There's
very
somebody else that
possible.
knows you.
We have a guy at church who says, I can't go anywhere with you and your wife without you knowing someone. And that's usually true. Our circles have come. My biggest struggle anymore is if I see you,
Yes.
I'll recognize the face.
Yes.
Don't always remember the name because some of these circles go back a while.
Right.
And what I've learned is I have to find the circle. If I can remember, okay, school, okay, yes, I'm in.
There's the
This
attachment.
church, yes, I'm in. But I find that to be my biggest struggle anymore is which circle did they come from? Because
Right.
I have a lot of circles at this point.
Okay, can you do this for my husband? This is so funny. Again, he's like, Monica, do you understand how many people you introduced me to and what you're all tied to? He went up to someone, Scott, and I just felt so bad. And he introduced himself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you've met this person. And this person came back and they're like, yeah, we've met. And I'm actually several times. And Jim's like, oh, okay, well, great to see you again. And then he walked away and he goes, I'm sorry. Like, please remember people. From a business standpoint, they want to be remembered. Everybody wants to be remembered, but it is hard.
I will give you a hint, and it feels wrong when you do it, but we're humans.
We're
We have
human.
to do this.
Yes.
Even the church that I attend right now,
Mhm.
in my phone, in the Notes app, I have a category of church names. If I meet you, I put the name in there because
Smart.
sometimes the name just slips my brain
Right.
and I can go in there and it'll trigger the memory. So any circle now that I'm a part of, if we met right now, I would find a corner and I would start typing your name in there just because once I have the circle, I can remember names. And this goes back to how to win friends and influence people. One of the most beautiful things is to hear your name. And so I really do try hard to call out that name if I can.
Well, and there's a true science behind taking it out of here and writing it down.
Mhm.
That's why I'm so big on journaling. And people are like, I'm not good at journaling. I'm like, no one's judging you. If you just write a word, that's fine. It starts with that, but we do need to take it out of this area. Yeah, please put that slide up for a second before we get into the emotional aspect. So many different orphanages, and again, trying to give back because of what you feel your life has been blessed with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? Kids kind of make the world go round. They bring life to this world. So it's lovely.
I wish my husband would have talked, but again, I guess it wasn't in the cards. I wish Jim would have talked to you when we first moved in, because when he and I got married, it was absolutely something that I wanted so much, was him to open up his mind to adoption. And all his comment was, he has 2 children, which so do you, but he kept thinking, I'm too old. I'm too old. People have probably said,
I think that today.
do you?
Yeah, there's moments. I am so thankful we did it.
Yes.
Without a doubt. But it's interesting. Michelle, if you were to sit down with us both, she had to twist my arm for a while.
Did she?
I came around
I'm
and
glad you did.
there are days that I sit there and say, I'm old. But it's unique because with the first set I had energy. And so, Dad, you want to wrestle? Absolutely. Let's do whatever you want. Second set, not as much energy, but I have wisdom.
Yeah.
And
see?
so it's a very
There's your
interesting
counterbalance.
dynamic. It does. So it's a dynamic. But listen, I would tell anybody, if you have an opportunity to do it, it'll bless you. And it's wonderful just to be open to love
Yes.
and to realize you can handle it. I guarantee you can.
We're back to that again, right? So faith, hope, love, and the greatest of these is love. It's interesting because people will say, well, isn't faith more important? Is hope more important? Why is love so important? Let's break it. Paul talked about this and broke it down of how love, it really fits into all of those categories. And without the love aspect, the other ones really can't rise up. That's my feelings on that. Let's go to this, though, because I promised this when we came back. I told you, Scott, you're just going to have to come back if that's okay with you, or just come over to the house.
There we
We'll
go.
do the next one at our
Perfect.
home. Professionals who allow themselves to blow up. Is this you? Think about it. I always want you to hear yourself in the story. Do you blow up? Do you get ruffled in the moment, often finding yourself regretting it later? How many people don't? They send off that text message or the email, and they're like, why did I send that? In anger. They didn't sit back or have someone read it and say, oh, you might want to change this or that. Their team, maybe worse, is left feeling uncertain, insecure, and questioning their leader's stability. There's a rabbi in Thou Shalt Prosper that challenges a popular belief about anger, saying, if you feel angry, express it. Bottling it up, this is interesting, is unhealthy. The rabbi argues the opposite. I thought this was so powerful, saying that bottling up anger is actually healthy. A lot of you are like, whoa, what? The more you restrain it, he says, the less frequently you'll feel consumed by it. And he goes even further on that. So I want you to unpack that one for me.
I annoy a lot of people with this conversation
I doubt you will with me.
because I do not think any of us are victims of any circumstance. I think we all have the power to choose any moment, choose our reactions to what happens. I agree things happen outside of our control. Our response is 100% within our control. And so even going to the bottling up, it's my choice of how I'm going to respond in this moment. Can I recognize that an hour or two from now, I'm going to regret this and just push the pause button? Now, I'll go back. If those who work with me and know me also know this, I will walk in the conflict, but I'm not going to walk in the conflict emotionally charged. I'm going to walk in the conflict with a love first mentality. We need to talk about this. We need to sort it out, but we're going to definitely deal with the issue. So I want to make sure it's understood.
Sure.
You deal with the issues. Just control yourself, control the emotions that are churning up. As you were reading that, I mean, there's just a couple things that jump out to me is none of us or few of us would ever respond to a customer with that type of charged energy.
You would hope. They would lose
Probably
their
going to lose
job.
the customer.
Yeah,
Probably going to
both,
lose
yes.
the customer and maybe lose the job. At the same time, every employee inside that company is an internal customer. They're a partner that's helping you get something done, or there's someone on your team that's helping to get done. So why do we feel we can treat someone internal any different than we would treat in the external? And these are the types of messages I really try to get to the leaders is just control yourself, treat people with love and respect. And then when we do need to deal with the issue, hey, we talked about underperformance a moment ago. I'm the
Yes.
first one that says some people need to be let go, but it's done properly with the right
Respect.
respect.
So we're not talking about that's a new one. We're not talking about bottling up, never ever finding your voice, never speaking your truth. That I would think would be very dangerous. But the rabbi says if you restrain it more, the less frequently you'll feel consumed by it. But we do need to talk things out.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what he's saying. I don't want you to be hearing that you're not speaking aspects of life. We're not talking about that at all. We're talking about the importance of not always just flying off the handle. And I mentioned earlier before we went to the break, the importance of not saying this person did this or this person did that or someone affected us from a level of making us angry or making us sad. The blaming aspect of life that a lot of people do, it is not giving power. That's how I do it. But I'd be interested to see your feelings on that aspect. And we'll put up on the screen here a little bit again of how you can find Scott helping you better your life. Also talking about the pamphlet, the booklet, I should say, Unlock Your Full Potential. And another book, by the way, that's coming. Is that already in the works, by the way? Relational Influence?
That's the one I'm writing. I think this is probably common with all authors. By the time you publish a book, you've moved past that one and you're already on to a new thought. So the one I'm in process of writing is Relational Influence.
Yeah.
And again,
How far along are you on that one?
Just a couple chapters in. It's more the process. And the other thing, I try to do some workshops and training and some of that with the same topics so that you can get the feedback. And that way, when you're presenting it in the book, you've already worked through some of the kinks and wrinkles. So it's a work in progress, but it definitely is the next book.
So I'm sure a lot of you are watching and are going to say, Scott, please make Monica finish her book. And then evidently I'll have many more to come after that. I have written some. I picked it back up and started writing when I was in Cabo last June because I was just very moved by the ocean and present and focused and at peace. I am interested. I will sit down with Scott and say, hey, do you like who you worked with? And going through all that process. Has it been a fun process putting books out?
Yes, it has. Now, I will say this, write a book for you. Most authors are
Right.
not getting rich off their books.
Right.
In fact, statistically, most authors will sell just a few hundred books. If they get into the thousands, they've done well. So you need to write the book for you for the most part. And that's what I write for. And then the hope that it will get in the hands of someone that it matters. I think even this conversation right now, I'm sure you look at it the same way. If it's a seed that will plant somewhere,
Mhm.
that's all I can hope for. And so
Absolutely.
a book, if it'll land in the right hands and plant the seed somewhere, that's what I hope for. The little booklet there, that is the whole purpose of writing it. And I wrote it small on purpose so it could just be a quick read, quick
Yes.
seed, because that's all we need most of the time, and we can grow from that moment on.
Well, right. And we have people, it's just like this. I was told the other day, hey, I would love for your shows to go on longer. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting because we are told by whoever is out there
Mhm.
that everyone has a short attention span now and people don't want long format. Evidently, that's not true. It's the right people that are wanting more and more and more. They're seeking it out. Maybe you're rushing around. You can't watch the full thing, but you're listening. And I always say that, Scott, if I impact one person today, that was my goal, what I set out to do. If
Absolutely.
it was hundreds or thousands or millions, wow, how blessed am I at that point? But again, I want you to think about one of the things that we talked about, a challenging perspective about the bottling up of emotions. But Scott says one that makes you pause. Is anger really a sign of arrogance?
Mm.
He said, what do you think about this? Do great leaders have the right to express anger, or does emotional control define the best of them? And he goes into this and discusses these aspects. So, yeah, we've got some other pictures about the life of Scott. And you mentioned counterbalance. I, of course, am very, you probably see the clients pulling up Saturday mornings, Monday evenings,
Yep.
the importance of our bodies, our minds, our spirits. We have to make sure that we take care of all of those. So, talk about what you do to counterbalance your life from health.
Well, I know the previous picture there was me running. I would say running loosely, probably moving at a quicker pace than a walk. I, I am not a runner by any means in the sense of I love it or anything of that nature, but I do recognize the importance of being healthy.
Yes.
And so I would say I'm always analyzing myself. Self-awareness is a wonderful tool you can pick up. Just be honest with yourself. What's going on? And some honest components about me when it comes to my health and working out is I don't like gyms. I will pick up memberships. I'll
You're
go
just
for
like
2
Jim.
weeks. I won't go to a gym. I know that about me.
What is it about a gym? Because my husband, Jim, is the exact same way.
I don't really know. I think I get bored. I love the outdoors.
Yes.
And so anything I can do outdoors, I'm going to choose it all day long. And so I think a gym just feels a little stifling to me. I would much
Confined?
rather be, yeah, exactly. I'd much rather be outdoors. So I know this aspect of I love hiking.
I didn't
You'll
know that
often
about
find me.
you.
Oh,
So we need to hike
absolutely.
together. I love to hike.
Oh, it's fantastic. And it's another pro tip. If you are a professional and the workplace can get extremely stressful,
Mhm.
take a break.
Mhm.
Go for
Get
a
out in
hike.
nature.
Go for a hike. You get out in nature, your mind will clear
Mhm.
and the anxiety will just go away
Mhm.
and you're ready to come back. And a third tip to that, if you're working through something like you're stuck, a mental barrier,
Mhm.
ask yourself a question. Go into that hike with a question. On this hike, I'm just going to ponder this question. I'll almost guarantee you will finish that hike and you will have your breakthrough and you'll be ready to go. There's something about nature that does it.
It is, and there's many reasons why people who help people through meditation or prayer and finding peace and calmness will tell you, get out in nature. We're not talking to go out in a thunderstorm because then you'll get anxious, but go out, sit under a tree, get
Mhm.
grounded,
Mhm.
and what it all connects with you on. Yes, as opposed to being behind a desk and you're like, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's many levels of how do we get to that point.
I want to finish that hack real quick because I think we as people just need little hacks.
Mhm.
I try to run a 5K every month
Oh, really?
because I don't love running. So if it's left to me just needing to go for jogs, I won't do it. However, I will not show up to a race and not be able to finish it.
Mm.
It's something about that accountability with other racers or accountability of other people. So now if I have a race on the schedule, I will show up and I'll be able to finish the race. I don't care about my time,
Right.
but I'm able to do it. So it's been my little hack of if I keep a race on the calendar 3-4 weeks ahead, now for the next 3 to 4 weeks, I have to be active.
You're active, you're training, you're excited, you're focused on it. Yeah, I think that's the problem. Too many people, and I'm not saying anything against the athlete mentality. Too many people go into a race or anything that they have as their goal. Oh, am I going to beat this person? Am I going to beat that person? Instead of enjoying the journey, which Scott talked about earlier, enjoying that whole ride. Will you come back on the show?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm not going to wrap up yet
Absolutely.
because there's another part in this. So, ambition. This is the part I wanted to end with. Is ambition holding you back? Scott asked in a recent post that he had. He said, I recently asked in prayer, Lord, is there anything in my life that is limiting my connection with you? And the silent response was immediate. Yes, there is. And he asked, well, what is it? It's your selfish ambition. And Scott says that answer hit hard. My ambition had driven me to push forward, to strive for success, to achieve. But in that moment, I realized something profound. Selfish ambition was my ceiling. Interesting. And I think that resonated with me when it was, wow, I'm just trying to provide this for the world. I want it for myself and my family, but do we drive, and it is too inside,
Too
selfish? Yeah.
Too inward, yeah. I don't believe we're here for ourselves.
No.
I just don't. I think that we have to manage ourselves and lead ourselves so that we can do, and that is serve others. And when I use the word serve, not in the negative connotation that many take, just to love others and to help others become who they were designed and meant to be.
See, this is why you get along with me so well. I've never thought of a negative connotation to serve. I hear serve of serving other. Maybe it's the faith side of us, right? Serve ourselves, serve our neighbors, serve those that are needing our help, getting out of our own way and reaching out to others. But I found this powerful. This is, by the way, something that was in one of his posts on LinkedIn, and he put some things that really make you think. So the books, all of them are available right now?
Yes. You can find them on Amazon, or you can find them on my website at 1313solutions.com. Access to both.
And Relational Influence will be the next one that's coming up. So look for that one. Before we wrap up, though, we've got to show this video. So what happened in this golf putt that you came so unbelievably close? What game was this?
I don't remember who we were playing. I take the boys to a lot of the SLU University games, just because they're close and we can. Had the whole family there this night, and there was a QR code when we got there. If you want to participate in like the mid-game festivities, hit the code. And I'm like, which one of you guys want to do it? And no one wanted to do it. And I'm like, I'm doing it. So I went on there, and I guess manifested or whatever. I'm like, I want to do the putt. I hope I get to do the putt. I'm doing the putt tonight. Do the thing. Not even 10 minutes later, this guy comes up. You were randomly selected. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do something. I'm like, which one? He's like, you're taking the putt tonight. I'm like, all right. Now, so Andrew, who's my oldest, looks at Dad, whatever you do, don't leave the putt short. And so I'm like, all right, I won't leave the putt short. And all these things start going through your head. It did, because now you're like, I got a putt in front of all these people. Then they made me feel better. What I learned is up to that point in the season, nobody had even hit the piece of cardboard that you're putting at. And so I'm like, okay, this is great. I really can't make myself look like too much of a fool. So I get up there. I'm present in the moment. A lot of people ask if I was nervous. I wasn't. I realized we can truly become present in those places. I kind of didn't even know what the rest was going on. I took my best stroke, and I made the putt. And about 10 feet out, I realized I hit this thing short. In fact, the announcer, if you listen, I don't know if they have the audio, the announcer even made a joke. But it just kept rolling and kept rolling and kept rolling. And I missed it literally
an
1
inch.
inch.
So
It's
when I
very
watched
last
the
minute.
video, I actually had to go deeper into it, and I kept pulling out. And I'm like, oh, there it is, because it did seem like, well, isn't it over already? And then as I heard the crowd, I'm like, oh, wow, it must have just continued to roll a little bit.
From what I'm told, because it was, I was on the other side. From what I'm told, at the very last moment, it took just an inch left. And I'm like,
man.
oh. So
You're
it's
so
my story of
close.
almost winning a new car with a putt.
What did your family say after that?
They loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
It was a the kids were a little hard on my wife Michelle. They're like, she got a little too excited, but it's still good time.
This is a good point, though, to take those chances in life. Always.
Absolutely.
Don't ever, like, everybody else would be like, I'm not doing it. Somebody has to step up and do it. Okay, so if you know this show, you know that I end every show with faith. And so sometimes we have books all over the place. We actually pulled just 2 out today, and they're on your side. So I'm going to let you choose. Which color are you drawn to?
Blue's my favorite color. Always.
Okay. Oh, good. So then he
Convertible.
connects to this set because I always
Yes,
love
yes,
blue.
blue.
So we're going to do that, but I also want to congratulate you. You're now serving on the Ozark Gateway Board of Directors for
Yes.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Yes.
And I grabbed that picture right before I went to bed last night.
Ah, fantastic.
Yes.
It's
And
a
so,
wonderful ministry.
how long have you been with them?
I just started my term this year. Started working with them probably last year as a fellowship member. But as I get to know more about the organization and how they're able to impact lives of students through and coaches and the schools, it's just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. We have a dinner auction coming up in April. Our auctioneer, I think, was a recent guest of yours, Reed Lowe.
Reed, yeah, he's a good
Andy
friend of mine.
Bennis will be there speaking. Rick Horton's a big part of it, and so a lot of names that you're familiar. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to be a part of something that's just far-reaching and big. And it's far-reaching as an organization, but what I'm serving on is our community.
Right.
And it's just a really great place to be a part of, and great people I get to be with.
So next time you do it, you have to have me auctioneer. You know why I do that?
I actually read about that just a couple days ago, and I'm sitting here saying, I got
didn't
the
know
next
this.
auctioneer. Yes.
Yeah, I actually have. So Incarnate Word has their big event coming up next month. I have 3. I have one for St. Louis Ovarian Cancer. I'm doing an event for them, Incarnate Word Academy, and then also Care STL. So yes, if you didn't know that, there's a lot of things about us. We are multifaceted in life.
I want to learn more.
I'll be on your show. Okay, so we're going to take a break. I'm going to tell you about 100 Days to Freedom, from anger. So Scott has chosen the anger one. So we're going to do that and then also let you know where our next Mobile Monica is. So stay tuned. We wrap up the show when we return.
She's got it for $8,700. You're going to bring her.
Create beautiful gardens and landscaped areas with everything you need at Holman Hillerman Nursery and Florist. A great selection of outdoor and indoor plants, gardening items, landscape materials, lawn and garden equipment, and much more. Holman Hillerman Nursery and Florist.
And I am super excited to be there at Hoffman Hillerman Nursery. I've never been. They're in Washington, Missouri, March 26th. I would love for you to come on out. We're all ready for spring, aren't we? The change of the weather I'm excited about. No more snow for Scott to get off of our driveway.
Let's hope.
Yes, I know, right? We need to knock on wood here because we have had snow on Easter before. No. We want this beautiful 70-degree weather that we're going to experience this week. March 26th, 10 a.m. So they also have these potting bar private classes for 2 and so much more. So if you don't have a green thumb and you are looking to better your landscaping, and by the way, that's very cathartic. Scott and I just talked about getting out in nature, getting into the roots of things and just watching something blossom and know that you put love into it. We talk about love in the way we cook, love in the way we garden. It's faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. I mean, that's literally where it all comes into play. So I'd love to see you. That is our next Mobile Monica. And if you would like for us to come to your business, your event, your festival, reach out to me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. I love these Mobile Monicas. I love to get out in the community and say, thank you to all of you that have been with us day in and day out, and continue to share the love, by the way, and let everybody know that we are here for them every morning at 7 a.m. on multiple platforms. Okay, so Scott picked 100 Days to Freedom, and this one is from anger. And it's many times God picks this. It's crazy when we're talking about something and how I go, how did you know? Yesterday was one of those. Michelle actually picked the yellow book, and I was actually looking at this color. And this would have been yesterday's, but yesterday's was so perfect with our show. So this is day 30 of 100 Days to Freedom from Anger. Course correction. 3 different times I, Paul, begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I'm glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's 2 Corinthians 12, verses 8 through 9. And didn't we just talk about Corinthians? This is crazy. When you think back on the things that you prayed for and didn't receive, what is your response? Maybe you're thinking of painful losses, how you prayed earnestly for a different outcome and you don't understand why it happened, tragic loss, betrayal, many other challenges, part of living in a fallen world, and yet God can use these things for good. So think about your anger toward God for these types of losses and challenges, part of processing grief. You can go to the Lord with your pain and frustration, and He wants you to, by the way. The bitterness and resentment that threaten your relationship with God would be another loss that could be devastating. Express your anger and confusion to God. Work it out so that you aren't lost too. And that kind of goes back to what Scott and I talked about of bottling things up to find that restraint. But I hope you're having a discussion with God. And maybe that is the only person you're talking to. What about the anger you have toward God when things don't go your way? Oh, that's the biggest one that we could talk about in another session. In other circumstances, people want a job. They want the best relationship. They don't want cancer anymore. Why would God do this to me? Ooh, that's the biggest struggle I ever hear anybody ask. Perhaps you were hoping for a raise. Maybe you were passed over for a promotion or recognition. Maybe you feel like you're running up against a wall and God isn't there to help you. Or maybe you're praying for something that really isn't what God had planned for you. You can't always get what you want, and that can be a really good thing, but not if you expect God to be like Santa. If that is your version of the Most High God, you're going to be disappointed and likely be frustrated with life and God. His training, His standard, and desire for your life have a definitive path to make you more like Christ. The decision will be yours, but will you accept course correction when it occurs, or will you refuse God and become angry and disconnected? I have so many chills running through my body right now of these questions. So could it be that God is so intensely personal that He would burn down your world in hopes of building it back? That's what Matt Chandler said. And I have not lost faith in God. I have moments of anger and protest. Sometimes I've been closer to Him, though, for that reason. That's what Eli Wiesel says. I have a prayer for you today, and it's this. Lord, I don't understand why things happen the way they do. Help me to trust you and let go of any resentment that may keep me from experiencing all you have for me. Even when it looks different than my expectations, I desire your will for my life. Amen.
That is good.
Right?
That
and
is
it fit
good.
with what we talked about
Absolutely.
today. So
Absolutely.
this one was meant for today, not yesterday. It's interesting. Good job, Michelle, on picking yesterday's, and Scott, good job on picking today's. You have been a pleasure, and you're right. You and I have a lot in common, and we've been living by each other since 2016 and had no idea. But it's all in God's timing of where do we go from here? More times, wouldn't you like to see Scott on our show more often? Diane said, I enjoy listening to the both of you. I could listen to you for hours. I like that. Misty says, amen. It's all of these people that are brought to our show, I believe, exactly when they are supposed to. Diane said, great show, and we will drop the mic here. Scott is so calming.
That's good to hear.
I
Thank
love
you.
that.
Thank you, Diane.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to have to think about this, where we go from here in a continuing series, possibly, of me and Scott being together. We have a lot we would like to bring you, and we do have very similar mindsets, but probably can challenge each other on others, which is a good thing, by the way. If we're all the same, it's kind of a boring life. We have to sit, though, and be open-minded to listen to others. Before I forget, you have one of the videos that you provided for us that is about discs. So tell me about that.
When COVID hit, I had a guy at my church who loved disc golf. And I don't know if you've ever been to a park. It's those baskets, and people are like to do that one day, but never did it. And COVID seemed like the perfect time to try. And so I went out and I figured out how to play the game, and I fell in love with the game. For those who love golf, and I enjoy golf too, I fell in love with the game because it can be played in an hour, not 4 hours, and it's in nature. And the other aspect of it is if I play with someone, a lot of times on a big golf course, you can get separated.
Right.
In this, even if the frisbees go off course or the disc go off course,
You're close.
a lot of
Proximity.
conversation. And so I found passion in the game. I am certified with disc behavioral analysis. And one day, just with my son, I'm like, I wonder if I could merge disc and disc together. And it hit me, I could, because I believe the power of the disc behavioral stuff is not just about you. It's about learning how to read others and communicate with others. And I realized that communication is nothing more than a challenge. Every person is different. Every person's a unique whole of golf. And there's obstacles and there's barriers in our way, and we have to choose the right tools in order to be received on the other end. And so I just put together a program that took something that's usually kind of a boring classroom lecture and said, how can we make this fun? How can we build teams together? And how can we make learning actually stick? So that's the big overview of discovering influence.
Look at all those people. They look like they're having a blast, don't they? I want to do that. Don't you want to be a part of Scott's life in some way? Well, if you do, go to 1313solutions.com. Think about him for a consulting aspect, a leadership aspect, a speaking aspect. Get his books again, Stop Clowning Around, the original one, and then the booklet, Unlock Your Full Potential, and then Relational Influence. Any idea of timing of when that one might be coming?
I'm learning to roll slow on distribution. So even if it's done this year, I would say let's target 2026
Okay.
as release.
And when should I get my book out?
Now.
There it is.
Now.
I hear you. Again, I'm doing it for me, and hopefully I affect all of you. All right, you and I are going to talk about that. We're going to lunch because I said we've got to take you all to lunch. I think is that what you said was better for you?
Yes,
Lunch
yes,
or not dinner?
Kids, they make life crazy.
We're taking them to lunch to thank him for so many levels, but to do our driveway, it's just been crazy. Love you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. It's
The,
been a
the greatest of
great
these is
time.
love, right? That's how we end the show. Well, we ended that way, but we also ended with this, and I think that's where the love comes into play. We'll have more for you, obviously, this week. Be sure to tune in tomorrow morning. We'll do a little bit more of our wellness and workout Wednesday. I'll be back at home, and we'll always want to bring those components in. But I always ask everybody to dream big, believe in yourself. The mirror aspect's very interesting, by the way. We can go deeper into that. Love thyself. Really have that self-love as you talk to yourself. And what is that you're providing yourself? Kindness. And that's what I ask you to do at the end of every show. Be kind and God bless.